If you find out a girl you like has breast implants, does it change your opinion of her? Is it a turn-off or even a turn-on? I am curious because I have friends with breast implants, and they feel hard and cold. I cannot imagine liking it if I were a man, but I am interested to hear men's views. Story 1. They are fine. They get a bad reputation because you notice the bad ones, and the good ones look and feel natural. It is like how many men say they do not like makeup, but really mean they do not like obvious, noticeable makeup. Or how some people love marinara sauce but say they hate tomatoes. Story 2. Unnatural looks are less preferred. Smaller, natural features or natural appearance in general are better. The same applies to fillers, Botox, or anything else. Just accept who you are and embrace it. Story 3. I have never used one that felt natural. I do not care for them personally, but I understand why women do, especially those who have had children and know what breastfeeding can do to their bodies. Story 4. I prefer small natural breasts over large implants. There are, of course, situations where breast implants are an understandable choice, but most women who got them did not need them. Story 5. Real is best, but if you present real or artificial breasts to me, I will still greatly enjoy them. Story 6. I am not a fan. They may look nice, but they don't feel as nice. The vast majority of women I have met with them, let's just say they should have spent that money on therapy, not breast implants. The reason they are unhappy is not because they are not pretty enough. Story 7. Let's be direct. Breast implants are a choice, a physical modification. Some men prefer them, others do not. Some find them attractive, while others do not because of the hard and cold factor you mentioned. Preferences vary widely. But here is what truly matters. Does it change my opinion of her as a person? No. If I am genuinely interested in a woman, if there is connection, personality, and shared values, if she is authentic, then whether her breasts are natural or surgically enhanced is a secondary detail. It is about her, not her body parts. Do not get hung up on superficialities. Focus on the woman herself. The rest is just packaging. Story 8. It diminishes my opinion of her a bit. I know women get breast implants for various reasons, and I would have to hear what those reasons were. Unfortunately, most of the time it is for pure vanity. If that is the case, I can find someone else to spend time with. Story 9. I tried, but couldn't get over them. I'll never admit it to my exes, but the bolt-ons made sex really difficult for me. Story 10. It just depends. Not all breast augmentations are created equal. Think of it like tattoos. You can get a $150 tattoo from a random artist in a tattoo parlor who happens to have a free chair. Or you can spend $1,000, find a great artist, make an appointment, and get a spectacular tattoo. The same applies to breast augmentations. If you decide to do it, save your money, find the right surgeon, and choose the appropriate breast size for your body. Otherwise, the results may be uneven. Story 11. Gross. Fake teeth look bad once out of the package. Small, natural teeth are superior to large, artificial ones. Similarly, Brazilian butt lifts look bad. Lip fillers look bad, and so on. Natural is better than plastic. Story 12. This is the only answer you need. Men love to exaggerate. If a woman is in relatively good shape and has breast implants, almost every man nearby is going to think she's attractive. The men claiming they don't feel as good are usually repeating what they hear from others. Yes, implants don't feel the same as very large natural breasts, but there is very little difference for women who increase by 1 or 2 cup sizes. Men online often hide their insecurity about women becoming less attainable and resort to insults. Celebrities, models, influencers, and wealthy women who can afford these procedures have no shortage of men interested in them. The majority of single men who aren't wealthy or professional athletes have likely never been intimate with a woman who has breast implants. The claim they feel cold is questionable. My wife is pregnant and had large breasts before pregnancy, and now she has even larger breasts and they get cold. Everything on earth gets cold if the environment is cold, including natural breasts. Do you constantly touch your friend's breasts in warm environments? If a woman gets out of a hot shower, her breasts will be warm. On the beach, they will be warm. Wrapped in a blanket, they will be warm. In a cold environment, they will get cold. Story 13. If grown over the last few months, I now think people do things to raise their confidence. If she needed those implants to have more confidence in herself, I hope it worked and she feels better. Story 14. I am a lover of the itty-bitty titty committee and fully believe that natural is better. The only time a woman getting implants is not a waste is when it is reconstructive due to breast cancer or another medical issue. But that is just my opinion, and it only matters to me and my gorgeous woman. To anyone else, it is their body and they can change it if they want. Story 15. Meh. Large, small, perky, saggy, whatever. As long as they are real. Real looks so much better to me. Then again, I prefer cars rocking their original rims. Mulligans to all you ladies out there who go for reductions. That is some heavy weight some of you carry. That can mess up your back. My wife went through this, 7.5 pounds of material removed. Do I miss the loss of sensitivity? Sure. I do not miss the pain they caused her or the hassle of importing bras from the United Kingdom. It was cheaper for us to buy direct and pay airmail. Why do we not have United States companies making those? That all being said, you do you. There are plenty of guys who like the look of implants. It is just not for me. Story 16. Most men do not like cosmetic injections, but we also do not like all the other cosmetic injections and surgeries that women undergo. Each time we express this, we are told to be quiet. I will leave it at that. Story 17. I'm not a fan generally, but if the woman was seriously flat-chested before, I'm not talking small, I mean virtually non-existent, flat as a board, like something hormonal didn't happen right, and it ruined her self-confidence, I can understand the desire for implants, but only those big enough to bring her to about a B cup, not excessively large. Story 18. It depends. I knew an older woman from work. She was about 45 years old and had 2 children. I guess she used to be larger but started working out intensely, like triathlon level. When I met her, she was already in shape and exercised during her lunch breaks. She had breast implants and they were very well done. She looked amazing. I think younger women aged 18 to 30 should not get breast implants unless they are very unhappy with their appearance. Honestly, most men do not care. Women in their 40s who have had children should go for it if it makes them feel better. Story 19. My wife has them. They look pretty natural except she has a really small frame and they are somewhat large, so maybe not completely. They are done well and don't look like hard beach balls on her chest. They just look like a small woman happened to be blessed with larger, perky breasts. I love them. I have seen pictures of her without them and she had nothing. She still looked good, but I do like breasts, so I would have to say she is more my type with them. Story 20. My sister-in-law has implants as a result of breast cancer. That is fine. It is not about the implants themselves. It is about the lack of self-confidence needed to want to go through with it that is unattractive. Story 21. I think it comes down to how natural they look, which is an argument for natural. Some women try to go too big from their natural size, and it makes them look like leather stretched over unripe melons. That said, I know some women are self-conscious about their breasts being imbalanced, differently shaped, or underdeveloped. I am all for it if they want to get implants to reshape or augment. But really, if they go up more than 2 cup sizes where it becomes obvious it is less desirable. But let's be honest, I'm still not saying no. Story 22. My ex-wife had large natural breasts. My wife now has large implants she got in her 20s. Both are wonderful. Story 23. Preference is not a filter. Aesthetics take priority over method. Natural appearance is preferred, but implants are equally acceptable. If they look good on you, like naturally good, the amount of care needed decreases. If they look fake and unnatural, we have different feelings. Story 24. I prefer natural, but it is hardly a deal breaker. I have known a few women with breast implants, and as long as they do not go from an A cup to double D, you really would not notice most of the time. They look and feel like real breasts. Story 25. Depends on how they look. My ex had them and they looked and felt great. However, I have seen a few botched jobs that would be off-putting, certainly. Story 26. My preference is natural, but I support women doing whatever makes them feel confident in their own skin. Story 27. I do not know. I have never been with a woman with breast implants, but I prefer breasts to be nice and soft. Breast implants make breasts look stiff, based on what I have seen in pornography. Story 28. I suppose as long as they are not lopsided or goofy looking, I do not really care one way or the other. However, I have never felt breast implants, as far as I know. If I did, I was too intoxicated to notice the difference. Story 29. I find the whole thing offensive. Natural, baby, that is the way I like them. Swing low, sweet chariots. Story 30. Makes no difference to me. I have had ex-partners and hookups both with and without. Some for medical reasons, some for self-esteem, some got them after having a child. There are all sorts of valid reasons, and it is really not my place in the world to cast judgment or speak negatively about someone's body and the choices they make with and for it. Story 31. As long as they are not bolt-on balloons, I don't really care personally. It's all about the butt. Forget Brazilian butt lifts. Just do squats. It's not up to me why or if a woman gets surgery. My concern is to ensure it is for her own will and desire. Ignore peer pressure and avoid doing it to please others. However, I would be lying if pornography brain rot hasn't affected me in deluding that they are unattractive. That is a powerful reason why some people get it done, sadly. Also, I don't think you should get implants between ages 16 and 20. Plenty of girls did it in high school and college, and now they regret it because their natural breast growth was disrupted, making it look like you have double breasts. This was during the MySpace era, not Instagram. One girl, who was the school hottie, the queen bee, gorgeous, now looks 10 years older because of the procedures she had done. It is a sad story and not an uncommon one. Story 32. I do not care if they are big, small, or somewhere in between. Natural breasts will always be better than artificial ones. Story 33. You can tell there are many dedicated supporters on Reddit by reading threads like this. Story 34. I prefer smaller breasts personally. I would not judge someone for their preference because everyone has their own life to live. Story 35. It depends on why she got them. If she got them to look nice, then it is a turnoff because there is no way I want to be with someone who is vain enough to undergo surgery for beauty. If she got them because she had something unfortunate in her life like breast cancer, then it is totally understandable and I have nothing against it. Story 36. Vanity is a major turnoff. The same applies to irresponsible financial decisions. My opinion of her would take a significant hit unless it was reconstructive surgery. Story 37. I think medium-sized natural breasts are the gold standard. I have dated multiple women with breast implants. Some were okay and some were not. You get used to whatever breasts a woman has. It is not a big deal. Story 38. Definitely a turnoff. It is even a deal breaker since it shows that she is open to unnecessary cosmetic surgeries. Women are already fickle over things like aging, and those open to cosmetic surgery are, without fail, much worse. Not to mention having to help throw money away on the surgeries. Story 39. If I was interested in a girl and found out she had implants, I would be disappointed. It is not a deal breaker, but I would be sad, knowing that what is done is done. Story 40. Why should only women with certain genetics have the right to large breasts? I say if a woman wants prominent breasts, then let her have them. That being said, obviously fake-looking implants indicate that we do not share an aesthetic. Story 41. As a woman, no one has ever noticed I have had them done until I told them, if that provides any insight. Story 42. I would just feel sad that she feels the need to have them. I prefer natural ones no matter how they look or feel. It would not make me like her any less in any way. Her body, her choice. Story 43. They look great over the clothes. Naked, sometimes they look good and other times not so much. I have never touched artificial breasts to know how they feel, but real breasts can have different textures too. For me, it does not matter. I love breasts in general. My opinion might change after trying them, though. Story 44. Honestly, I do not really care. Women are vain, and if they have the money to improve something they think needs improving, they might as well do it. The authenticity of the breasts does not matter as much as the personality of the person they are attached to. Story 45. Net negative. It would be like finding out that a girl I like had some other type of physical flaw. I would not break up over it, but it would not be my preference. Story 46. Not for me. I prefer natural. I do not care if they are big, small, wide, narrow, or otherwise. Fake ones may look nice at first, but as soon as you notice a weird movement, scarring, or irregular shape, it completely breaks the illusion for me. Story 47. Wow, I thought I would be the unpopular opinion and say I like natural way better. That said, I will not be picky if they are in front of me. Story 48. I prefer natural breasts. I do not like how implants feel at all. I also do not like how natural they look in most cases. I had a girlfriend who had implants, and it was a major turn-off for me. Story 49. They feel hard and cold? Really? The ones I have had the pleasure of playing with have not felt that way at all. Story 50. Some cosmetic surgery is a red flag for me. I appreciate some of the basics that are also practical, like the mommy makeover or for people who lost large amounts of weight and want to get rid of excess skin. However, any kind of augmentation does not sit well with me. To each their own. I support people doing what they want with their bodies. Story 51. It's a turn-off, but in a way you're not thinking. To me, it is a money issue. I don't see the point in wasting money on something like that. I have a similar feeling about tattoos. I've always wanted a tattoo, but what I want would go from my toe to my finger and would probably cost more than $20,000. I'd rather put that money into a retirement account. That being said, my wife has a couple dozen tattoos, and it's not a turn-off, but it's not a turn-on. Story 52. Rarely do modified cars look better than when they came out of the showroom. The ones that do are often good for photos on a stage. In my opinion. Story 53. I prefer natural. I can understand if someone uses them to alleviate a medical issue. Usually, when done just to make things bigger, they end up looking unnatural, and that turns me off. Story 54. Like any major cosmetic procedure, proper execution is crucial. Simply having implants is not a turnoff. Story 55. No, please. I would rather be with a girl who has a completely flat chest instead of having something inside her body that isn't real or truly her. I feel the same about excessive makeup, jewelry, and nails. Less is more for me. There is a level of insecurity and vanity that was a big part of the personality of every girl I ever dated who was fixated on her appearance. They all wanted to move on quickly and struggled to maintain healthy relational boundaries. It's a hard no and a turnoff for me. I like women who are secure in their own body and live life with a focus on internal happiness and validation rather than external. Story 56. While I have no objections to them, I would like to be told very early on in the relationship, perhaps by the fourth or fifth date. Not telling the person you are with that you have implants is lying by omission. Since women want men to be honest with them, women should be honest with men. Story 57. As long as they are not cartoonishly large or disproportionate, I am supportive. I get the feeling that most women in real life with implants undergo moderate changes. Side note. For women with breast cancer, I imagine they are a godsend. Story 58. It's not a turn-on, but I do not necessarily have a problem with them, though some are nicer than others. I feel the same way about tattoos. Story 59. I've always been the biggest fan of breasts that are sensitive in a positive way, regardless of size. Larger ones can be nice to look at, but never as pleasant as those that enjoy being touched and stroked. Story 60. It does not change much, if any, of my opinion of her. In that regard, if I already thought that she was vain, that might confirm it. But in general, I will be less attracted, at least to her chest. That is about it. Would I still want to test out the purchase for science? Yes. Story 61. Surprised by how many selective men only want natural breasts. Having experience with both, they are both great. Artificial breasts are bad if they go overboard, but if within reason, they are great. Pretty much all breasts are wonderful. Story 62. I am not the type to be attracted to large breasts to begin with, so they do not do much for me. I prefer a more slender, fit woman, and they tend to be smaller on top. My wife is an A-cup. If she wanted implants, it is her body, but they are not going to make me want her more or less. Story 63. I understand women wanting them because it allows them to wear certain types of clothing that would not fit properly otherwise, and it certainly works great to shape a woman under a dress. However, after the dress is off, you are left with really unnatural-looking balloons that just look uncomfortable and potentially risky to health. Personally, I think a woman is more attractive if she knows she does not need them. The natural fit woman shape is a pear, not an 8. You are not supposed to be top-heavy. Story 64. Breast implants can look good, but what is usually done is as cheap as possible, which does not look good. Story 65. A lot depends on the quality of the surgeon. Some appear awkward, most look skilled. The question was, how do I feel about them? I feel them with my hands and mouth. Story 66. Not a showstopper, but I guess she wants me to match these efforts somehow. Then we have a problem because I have nothing to bring to the table. Story 67. My preference is always natural. However, if a woman chooses implants or augmentations, that is her decision. Story 68. Tidy is tidy. If that is what it takes to make you happy in your body, go ahead. The only time I start to judge is when it is particularly excessive, like high school on a tiny frame or half your body being plastic. Story 69. I think many people immediately assume breast implants are strictly for vanity and attention because that is usually what is portrayed on television. Implants are absolutely instrumental in some forms of breast cancer reconstruction. I support whatever gives a woman confidence. Story 70. Team Natural. I would never want anything that has the potential to rupture, leak, injure, or cause pain for the sake of aesthetics. I think it is just foolish. Plus, small ones are so happy. They are like, "Hi, can I help you?" Big ones are like, "We are closing in 5 minutes." They do not need your business. Story 71. I'm all for natural, but if a woman wants them, why not? A friend of mine had some because she felt insecure. She went for a natural look, though. As long as they do not look like pasted-on globes, I am fine with it. That adult film star look is not my thing. Story 72. Honestly, I prefer natural. If she were very self-conscious about it and had a realistic and natural proportion size, then as long as she was happy, I would be happy. If they were clearly a couple of sizes too large, I would have some issues. Story 73. I would prefer natural. I am not going to end a relationship because of implants, but I personally do not care for them. This makes me wonder what else will be surgically augmented later down the road. Story 74. It does not matter, her comfort does. Her being comfortable with herself and her own body matters far more than our preference. They are just breasts. They do what they are supposed to do, they function, and they do not need a man's validation. Story 75. Natural implants. Finding out after we are in a relationship would not be a reason to end it, but I would want to discuss the motivation for getting them to understand her better. My preference would probably be for her to have them removed if we decided to get married. Story 76. Fake breasts usually look great. My only experience feeling them left me fully on team natural breasts. I would prefer small natural breasts to large fake ones personally. As far as what it makes me think about the lady with them, honestly, it does not mean anything about their personality to me. There are many reasons to get them, both good and bad, so it is impossible to tell anything about a person based just on the fact they have them. If they are gigantic, massive, moons of fake breasts, that is a bit unusual, but anything up to a size DD is not a red flag or anything. To elaborate, if you have a flat chest, other than implants, there's not really anything you can do about it, but you can build your glute muscles at the gym, and a small chest with a large gluteal area is still very attractive. You would be surprised how large you can develop your glute muscles with the right training, diet, and supplements like creatine. Story 77. I'd prefer natural, but that said, I doubt I'd even be able to tell they are fake unless told or it is very obvious. Even if I found out, it would not really change anything. If I am at the point where she is letting me put my hands on her chest, then we are past the point of judgment on augmentations. Story 78. I would feel weird, but I would not comment or show it outwardly. However, I am completely choosing natural over implants. Story 79. It doesn't bother me. Obviously, natural is the way to go from a guy's perspective. I understand that it really comes down to how a woman feels about herself at the end of the day. Many women feel they need these after childbirth or breastfeeding. In those instances where the skin stretches and may not look as optimal as it used to, I agree the priority should be to restore yourself to a state similar to before or maybe even slightly enhanced. It will change things. The shape may change, the physics of how they move when touched and jiggle will change, but so will how a woman feels about herself, and I think that is the most important part. At the end of the day, no guy is going to say no to any set of breasts. Story 80. Many young women have considered this. If you truly feel like you must, then fine. Keep a natural look and feel to them, though. Those that look like water balloons are not attractive at all. Story 81. I do not like them. I do not care if you have a cups before. My wife wants them. I will like hers because she is my wife and I love her no matter what. But do I want them or prefer them? No. Story 82. I prefer natural, but that being said, implants are not a deal breaker. If they are way overdone and the size just does not suit the person, it looks strange. However, I would not turn a woman down just because she has implants. Story 83. I'm neutral. Not a turn-off, but too fake would not be a turn-on. If a woman looks better and, more importantly, is super confident because she has them, then I like her. If a woman gets some, does not look better and complains about them, I would not be interested. Story 84. Personally, it does not matter the size. It is the confidence and self-esteem that the woman has in herself. If implants make her feel better about her own skin, that is okay. If she is just getting implants to attract attention, then not so much. Story 85. I have never been with a girl with breast implants, so my viewpoint is entirely based on appearance. However, I prefer natural breasts. I do not care if a girl has size DD or size AA breasts. If they are natural, I support that. Story 86. If it looks fairly natural, it is acceptable. It looks terrible when they are clearly oversized and just ridiculous. Story 87. I genuinely do not like them, and they make the person unattractive to me. I was hanging out with a girl about a year ago, an OnlyFans model. I had a mild crush on her because I really love large breasts. On top of being very attractive, she was really sweet and nerdy. Somehow, I ended up at her place playing Mario Kart. While I thought I was good, she was much better and I was clearly losing. As a consolation prize, she let me touch her breasts. They were large and fake, and while I felt honored, I immediately didn't like how they felt. Sure, I imagine technology has advanced in that department, but still, they had a strange hardness to them. Felt more like a big lump than a soft breast. I could only sink my hands in so deep. We started making out soon after, but I wasn't really in the mood for sex. So we ended up just watching The Office and ordering pizza. Whatever attraction I had to her was gone by the end of the night. I love large breasts, but fake ones are just not for me. Still, it was a fun night, just relaxing. But yes, fake breasts are a huge turnoff for me, and I'm not attracted to women who have them. I prefer large natural breasts. Story 88. It is a huge detriment to how attractive she is. They can look good, but they feel terrible and do not bounce or jiggle. Story 89. Depends. Implanted because of health or mental issues. That's okay. Only to attract? No. Story 90. To me, it all depends on why they are getting them. If it is for attention, no. If it is to take care of a physical issue, great. Elle had a breast that stopped growing when she started to develop. Her right one was fine, her left one was about half the size. V was tall and beautiful, stop and watch her walk by beautiful. She was proportionately slim and had a nice figure but was sorely lacking when it came to breasts. Both of them had a reason for the implants and I was happy for both. Story 91. The thing about implants is if you really need them, they do not look great. They look fake and you can see the outline. If you do not need them, they look fine, but why get them? Perky is better than big. Maybe consider a lift instead. Like with lip fillers, if I can tell they have been done, it is a turnoff. Story 92. Insecurity is humanizing. People who are completely confident in themselves can be intimidating for those of us who struggle with self-criticism. However, that does not mean I hate them. Story 93. I much prefer natural, but I would not lose interest in someone over it. It is actually a common misunderstanding I see a lot, with women saying he is fetishizing my appearance. If we like someone, most men will start liking whatever traits they have. My first girlfriend was small and petite, so that is what I liked. Then I liked a girl who was taller with a bigger bust, so I started to prefer that. And so on, with each romantic partner's physical traits becoming something I would start looking for more and more. Granted, it might be different if we actually dislike a physical feature, but as long as they fall into the category of things we can be attracted to, they will become a preference. Story 94. Small breasts look aesthetically pleasing, especially when naked or wearing slightly revealing clothes. I think the media, internet, and popular culture overemphasize large breasts, making it seem like that is the only attractive option, but it is not. I have never heard anyone say, "She has small breasts," as a negative comment. Some girls believe these ideas because they think certain memes are true. As a result, they assume small breasts are a disadvantage. Story 95. I would not change my opinion of her. If they are very obvious, it is less attractive, but you can usually tell if that is the case, so my opinion would not change. If I still find her attractive, it would not be an issue. As a baseline, I prefer natural. Small or big is irrelevant. I would not personally encourage it unless there was a medical reason where it helped in some way. Story 96. Not a fan. They are eye-catching from a distance, but the interest always dies at some point as you get closer. I know there is always plausible deniability that some could be so good you wouldn't even notice. I have never encountered this to be the case, so I will ignore the plausible deniability until I encounter a set that I am certain is real but turns out to be fake. Story 97. I like small breasts. Like an A cup would be bright green zone and AA/B slightly darker. But yeah, any breasts are good breasts. If it were my choice, I would prefer natural. It's not though. If it makes the woman feel more confident, then by all means get implants. Being comfortable with your body is far sexier than whatever size breasts you have. Story 98. Natural speech is always better in my opinion. However, I have never actually interacted with an implant, and I have heard they have improved over the years. Story 99. I don't care about them, really. I have a small preference for natural, but it is her decision whether she wants them or not. If it makes her feel better, go ahead. Story 100. It would not change my opinion of her in any way, and it does not affect how attractive I find her breasts at all. Story 101. Found out like we cannot tell about 80% of the time within a minute. If she is standing still and has only had reconstructive surgery but not augmentation, we may have difficulty telling at first. However, once she is moving around or we see more than one outfit, it becomes obvious pretty quickly. I enjoy a natural look and feel. Do not get me wrong, some smaller augmentations can look nice while dressed, but once you are in the bedroom, it is a night and day difference. They are definitely colder, especially in a colder climate like Canada. You are not cuddling up to them the same way. Some are over-augmented, stretching the skin in an unnatural way, and the nipple points in another direction, like eyes looking in opposite directions. I know many natural women are not symmetrical or have perfect breasts, and that is okay. That makes her unique and beautiful. But when it looks fake, it feels wrong. Another issue we do not talk about enough is the medical impact, follow-up replacements, and all the risks of implant failures. I just do not think it is worth the risk for a woman. Pad your bras if you want to look a certain way. Go for it. Just like makeup, I want you to feel beautiful, but do not put your health at risk. Story 102. It depends on the surgeon and if they did a good job, to be honest. I have breast implants, and they are very soft, not hard or cold to the touch. They are large too, and often people cannot tell if they are real or fake. That is when you know your surgeon has done an excellent job. Most women do not follow the aftercare instructions, which is why their implants become hard or very stiff and do not soften. However, I have had men say they do not like fake breasts, but when they feel mine, they are impressed and enjoy them. Everyone has their own preferences. Story 103. I do not find them attractive. I am more attracted to a natural body, even if she has a small A cup. At least she is real and confident with it. Confidence is much more attractive than any implants. Story 104. Big breasts are nice, but small breasts are nice too. I guess it's more about not wanting a girl I'm with to feel like she needs to change her body for me. That involves a lot of back pain that I won't have to deal with. So, don't base your choice on me. Get breast surgery if you want to, or don't if you don't. Story 105. In the general population at large, I do not really mind one way or the other. It is not my business. In a potential partner, if she already has them, that is fine. However, if she is thinking about it, I would let her know I prefer natural. Though if it is to fix a medical issue or for her mental well-being, I would probably be more amenable. Story 106. I think it really depends on the person and the context. Personally, I do not mind breast implants as long as they are done well and the person feels good about them. I dated someone who had them, and honestly, I did not even notice at first. What mattered more to me was that she felt confident and happy in her body. If it is a choice someone makes for themselves and not because they feel pressured, I do not see a problem with it. That said, I also know a couple of friends who have dated women with implants and said they preferred the natural feel, but even then, it was not a deal breaker for them. Most men I have talked to about this care more about the connection and personality than whether someone has implants or not. It is really just one small piece of the whole picture. Story 107. I do not think I would ever get any for myself, and I do not much care one way or the other what other people get for their bodies. Story 108. I do not support it, but if a woman has them or wants them, she should not be judged or ostracized because of it. It is like having long hair or short hair. It is a choice of physical appearance. It is not a philosophical or political argument. Story 109. Why hasn't the innovation progressed? Installing some LEDs with solar batteries and a 10-year glowing light or other fashionable features. Magnet clasps. Story 110. I have never felt implants, so I do not know about that aspect, but visually a good breast augmentation can look very nice. I do not hold implants against a person, and if my partner's breasts look nice, I do not care if they are natural or not. However, I might change my mind about feeling them or not. Story 111. Another natural smaller side preference. Since those are the women that I date, I don't see them in my social life very often. I used to see them a lot in my work life as a glamour photographer, and I hated having to retouch the scars that they tell you are hidden in the crease. There is only a crease if you are standing up. About 5% of the women had surgeons who did the procedure through the armpit, and those always look best in my opinion. Also, you need to get the proper shape implant and choose the teardrop, not the half grapefruit. Story 112. Negative. It says a lot more about her as a person. The decision strikes me as exceedingly vain and wasteful, yet deeply intentional. However, sometimes there is a good reason for these surgeries. Maybe she suffered from burns or cancer, so I try to withhold judgment. Story 113. I generally felt them with my hands. Human female breasts are nice, whether they are natural or augmented specialty versions. Now, the absurdly overinflated, scarred, and uneven breasts, as seen in some adult film actors, might be off-putting, but I have never encountered any of those in real life. Story 114. Breast implants can damage mammary glands and reduce the ability to produce milk. If you want larger breasts, consider having a baby instead. People go through many unnecessary steps without reason. Story 115. I had an aunt who got cosmetic breast augmentation. It was strange hugging her because they did not move. However, I suppose they looked better in a sweater, which was the point. Story 116. It is very much an "it depends" situation. If she got breast implants just to have double DS and get a lot of attention, I am kind of turned off. If she got them for any other reason, they are fine. As for the feel, there have been plenty of implants available for at least a decade or more that look and feel fairly natural. Good saline implants have been around for decades, so there is no real reason for having that cold, hard feeling, not even cost. If you are paying out of pocket, meaning they are likely not post-surgical reconstruction, save longer and get good ones. Story 117. I think if it improves the self-esteem of a woman and they do not overdo it, go for it. The same applies if a man has gynecomastia and wants to get breast reduction for self-esteem. Story 118 Victims of Breast Cancer. A girl I am casually dating? I am okay with it. Someone I am taking seriously, wife status? No. I do not want anyone I am calling a wife to get body enhancement surgery. I like a woman who is natural and comfortable in her own skin. Story 119. Usually start by cupping them and then gently pressing the sides, trying to gauge the firmness and form, working my way forward to the twin peaks. Hope this helps. Story 120. Personally, I would not mind if I found out she did. I do not prefer them, but I would not judge them for it or hold it against them. Story 121. If I get to touch them, I love them. If I get to look at them, I like them. If they make her happy, I really love them. Story 122. There are people who prefer breasts of any size, from completely flat to very large, but it is natural to be interested in variety. If you spend 3 years dating a blonde, you will start noticing redheads and brunettes more. If you spend 3 years dating a curvy person, you will start looking at slender individuals. It does not make sense to have a permanent surgical change for these reasons. Large, perky, artificial breasts might attract more attention, but unless your only goal is to be noticed by strangers, it is not worth it. Especially since, most of the time, you end up with visible scars and uneven texture such as lumpiness or hardness. All things considered, natural breasts of any size are preferable to artificial ones of an ideal size. It is similar for men. An 8-inch size might be exciting and fun at first, but for every man disappointed with a 4-inch size, there is a woman who is tired of the preparation and soreness required to deal with an oversized member. If you want to change things up, dye your hair. Keep in mind that whatever you do will be most exciting during the initial novelty period, and eventually you will miss what you originally had. Story 123. I considered that route myself, but risking the loss of sensitivity in the nipple or breast area was a deal breaker for me. Also, women who plan to have children typically cannot breastfeed after they get implants. Story 124. Implants, at least in every case I have ever seen or touched, look great on the outside. But beneath the surface, they are nothing but balloons in the chest. Most of them have nerve damage, meaning you can take a pair of pliers to them and the person will not feel a thing. Implants, for the sake of appearance, are unappealing. It is a different story if natural features look unattractive. In that case, implants may be considered. I will always avoid implants. Story 125. I'm all about them. I'll help donate the money if a girl wants to get an enhancement. Real or fake, I don't care. I appreciate them all the same. As they say in the Navy, it's real if you can touch it. However, fake lips look terrible and the eyelashes too. Just stop. We can tell. Everybody can tell. It doesn't look good, it really doesn't. Fake but enhancements look good sometimes. But come on. You really don't need to go that far. Story 126. It made my wife feel much better after 4 children. I love them. Before that, I did not care. I only had one other experience, and it was great also. Story 127. My stance on all cosmetic surgery is that it is not worth it unless you are recovering from something like cancer, trauma, or loose skin. If you are doing it just because, then I do not think it is worth it. It will never look as nice as your natural appearance, and it is not worth the risks. That is just my opinion. Ultimately, you should do whatever makes you happy. That is all that matters. Story 128. I don't have anything against them. Obviously, they can be done in a way I find unattractive, but there are many other physical features that also play into the overall attraction I feel. Knowing that cosmetic work of any variety has been done isn't inherently off-putting to me. Even if it wasn't done in a way I cared for, it's not like I would say anything to the person any more than I would say I didn't like one of their natural features. Story 129. I do not judge anything that anyone does to feel better about themselves. I just hope that it actually helps the person love themselves and that they are truly doing it for themselves. I do not know anything about the materials used, but I would suspect that it is probably less of a risk for long-term side effects if they do fat transfer instead of the implants. Our bodies tend not to like foreign things being implanted. Story 130. As a woman with breast implants, I have dated many men who said, They would never date someone with breast implants without realizing that I had them. My husband even told me this when we were dating, after he had already seen me naked. I assumed that maybe poorly done breast implants look so bad that they discourage men. Story 131. A girl can be 10 out of 10, but if she has fake breasts, it pretty much makes her a 1 to me. I am all natural in everything, which is why I love my wife. She does not wear makeup, dye her hair, shape her eyebrows, tan, or anything like that. She is all natural in everything and the most beautiful person I have ever seen. Story 132. As a person who prefers a smaller chest, it makes me sad that society causes some women with smaller breasts to feel compelled to get implants. They are already beautiful and do not need risky surgery. There are many communities dedicated to smaller breasts. The idea that every man wants larger breasts on a woman is not true. Story 133. Honestly, a huge concern about breast augmentation for any serious relationship is the potential future health implications. Even if they look attractive, I also know as a husband, I am potentially responsible for subsequent augmentation removals and the personal care involved. That is a concern in terms of money, effort, and the potential suffering of my partner. Of course, it is something to consider for medical reasons like breast cancer. Also, natural is much nicer to feel, to be honest. That said, if I love the woman because all of her other qualities are excellent, then so be it. But typically, breast augmentation is not a strong indicator of character qualities I find important in a partner. Story 134. As long as they do not look like basketballs and are done by a good doctor. My wife has breast implants and you would never believe she did. They have to fit the frame of the woman they are on. Story 135. It's a personal turnoff for me. They look good clothed, but beyond that, I'm not a fan, especially if they're not done right and are obvious temporary bolt-ons for a cheap car. I do acknowledge that there are good reasons for getting them, such as self-confidence or after a double mastectomy. It's just not my thing. That said, if my girlfriend wanted them as a means of just looking better, I would do my best to show her how perfect she is as she is. And believe me, she is. She is older than me and has an amazing figure. If she did it because of the aforementioned removal, I would change my tune and learn to love them so I could continue to fully support her. Story 136. Something tells me I will be speaking for the majority of men. Just like with any other plastic surgery, this sends a signal of profound insecurity or conformity with the wrong trends, or both, which is quite unattractive. For casual relationships or hookups, it is probably not a big deal. However, it is harder to take a woman with breast implants seriously as a long-term partner, though it is not necessarily a total deal breaker. Just like with nose jobs, lip injections, and similar procedures, most women do not become more attractive with breast implants, as they often look unnatural and disproportionate to the rest of the body. As a woman, unless you are completely flat, think twice before altering your breasts, regardless of what your friends are doing around you. Story 137. I strongly prefer natural, but dental implants are not necessarily a deal breaker. I feel the same about any kind of cosmetic enhancement, apart from tattoos and piercings. Story 138. Doesn't bother me one bit. You do you. We will decide if we are compatible based on more important criteria. Whether it is reconstructive or augmentative, I do not care. There is so much attention paid to women's breasts. I do not blame women for doing something about it if their current state bothers them. You go girl until you feel beautiful. Story 139. Change opinion? Unless she has had unrealistic implants done, no. Is it a turn off or on? When done well, it is a turn on for me. When done poorly, it is more of a turn off. Story 140. Plastic surgery in general is a turn off for me. Flaws make a person, and the more plastic surgery, the more uncanny valley vibes I get. That being said, it certainly has its purpose. I think that purpose is when it is medically necessary or advised. For example, a burn victim getting plastic surgery to reconstruct their features or someone with breast cancer who had to get a mastectomy. Implants make perfect sense then. But porn star breast implants or desperate housewives-style plastic surgery. Now, in my opinion, I probably would have liked the way they looked beforehand more. Then again, if it raises the self-esteem of the person getting the surgery, who cares what I think? Self-worth is far more valuable than the random thoughts of a stranger. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.